First contact and hidden preparation. The discovery that changed everything happened on a routine day at the Atacama Large Millimeter Array. Director Isabella Martinez stood frozen before her monitor, rechecking the data for the fifth time. The object had appeared suddenly, decelerating from impossible speeds before vanishing near Jupiter's orbit. "Director, we have visual confirmation," announced Dr. Thomas Richardson, his voice trembling with excitement. The massive screen at the front of the control room displayed a metallic object unlike anything humans had ever constructed. Its surface rippled with an iridescent sheen that seemed to bend light itself. Within hours, similar reports flooded in from observatories worldwide. The object had been spotted by multiple facilities before disappearing completely, but it had left something behind, a faint quantum signature that Earth's most advanced sensors could barely detect. 2 months later, in a hidden facility beneath the Rocky Mountains, General Diana Wade addressed a classified assembly of the world's top military and scientific leaders. The probe was unmanned, but its purpose was clear: reconnaissance. And thanks to Dr. Richardson's team, we now know we're not alone, and we're being watched. The room erupted in concerned murmurs as Dr. Richardson took the podium. The quantum signature matches theoretical patterns we've been studying for years. It's a form of faster-than-light communication. More importantly, we've decoded fragments of its transmissions. He paused, letting his next words sink in. Earth has been marked for integration into something called the Galactic Empire. Over the next several days, leaders from every nation met in unprecedented secret sessions. Historical rivalries and political differences faded in the face of this revelation. Earth needed to prepare, and it needed to do so without alerting their observers. "We have one advantage," General Wade explained to the newly formed Global Defense Council. "They think we're primitive. The probe scans focused on our visible infrastructure, our cities, our conventional military forces, our commercial satellites. They ignored our most advanced research facilities, presumably because they didn't recognize their significance." Dr. Richardson's team had discovered something else in the probe's transmissions: a timeline. Based on the Empire's standard protocols, we have approximately 25 years before they return. They're methodical, following established patterns for expanding their territory. The next 2 decades saw the greatest unified effort in human history. Hidden beneath mountains, deep in oceans, and in hollowed-out asteroids, humanity built its defense infrastructure. The public remained unaware, seeing only gradual technological advancement, while the real breakthroughs happened in secret. Professor Ryoko Tanaka led the reverse engineering of the probe's quantum communication system. "Every piece of their technology tells us something about their thinking," she explained to the council. "They rely on standardization, on proven methods. Innovation appears to be secondary to reliability." In underground bases across the globe, scientists and engineers worked tirelessly. They developed weapons that could penetrate Imperial shields, drives that could match their speed, and defenses that could withstand their attacks. But humanity's greatest advantage came from an unexpected source: artificial intelligence. Dr. Marcus Blackwood's breakthrough in quantum computing led to the creation of Aurora, an AI system designed specifically for military strategy. The Empire's tactical manuals, decoded from the probe's database, show a rigid adherence to doctrine, he explained. Aurora can predict their responses and develop countermeasures faster than any human strategist. Field Marshal Victoria Santos oversaw the construction of Earth's hidden fleet. Ships were built in segments, assembled in massive underwater facilities and orbital construction yards disguised as debris fields. "Every vessel incorporates multiple technological surprises," she reported. "The Empire expects chemical rockets and primitive ion engines. They'll find something very different." As the predicted arrival date approached, humanity's preparations entered their final phase. Cities worldwide constructed secret shield generators beneath their infrastructure. Orbital defense platforms were disguised as communication satellites. The entire asteroid belt became a vast network of automated weapon systems and sensor arrays. 24 years after the probe's discovery, Admiral Jonathan Hayes addressed the combined fleet commanders from his headquarters beneath Luna's surface. "Our entire strategy relies on surprise. Let them think they found exactly what they expected: a primitive world ready for conquest. Every ship, Every weapon, every defense system remains hidden until the exact moment we need it. The waiting game had begun. Humanity had transformed itself while maintaining a carefully crafted facade of technological infancy. They had learned patience, developed incredible technologies, and prepared for a confrontation that would shake the galaxy. As the first signs of Imperial ships appeared on the edge of the solar system, Field Marshal Santos stood in the Lunar Command Center, watching the monitors with quiet confidence. 25 years ago, they sent a probe to assess a primitive world. Now they'll discover what that world has become. She turned to Admiral Hayes with a grim smile. Let's show them why you should never underestimate humanity. The Empire's scouts were approaching, just as predicted. Humanity was ready. The greatest deception in history was about to be revealed, and the galaxy would never be the same. The Empire's arrival. High Commander Zaxlack of the Valkyrian Empire stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Dawn, studying the holographic display of Sol System. His scaled fingers traced the path their scout ships had taken through this backwater region of space. Everything proceeded according to standard protocol, exactly as it had across 1,000 worlds. Third Fleet Integration Squad reports complete system scanning. High Commander, announced Subcommander Varric. The primitive species designates itself human. Their technological level matches preliminary probe data from 25 years ago. Zaxlack's secondary eyes blinked in satisfaction, while his primary set remained fixed on Earth's image. Prepare the diplomatic vessel. We'll follow Integration Pattern 7, suitable for cultures newly achieving spaceflight. He allowed himself a small gesture of amusement. They've barely reached their own moon using chemical propulsion. The Eternal Dawn and its escort fleet emerged from quantum space near Mars, their massive forms casting long shadows across the red planet. On Earth, media channels exploded with footage of the alien ships. Panic erupted in some cities, while governments worldwide called for calm. In the Lunar Command Center, Field Marshal Santos watched the Imperial ships with Admiral Hayes. They're following standard formation delta, she noted. Exactly as Aurora predicted. Their arrogance works in our favor, Hayes replied, studying tactical displays showing the Empire's ship positions. They're not even running active shields. He opened a secure channel to all hidden Earth forces. Maintain emissions control. Let them think they're dealing with primitives. The Imperial diplomatic vessel descended through Earth's atmosphere, its silver hull gleaming in the sunlight as it approached the United Nations headquarters in New York. Global Defense Council members gathered in the General Assembly Hall, their faces carefully schooled to show appropriate awe and concern. High Commander Zaxlack made his entrance with calculated majesty, his ceremonial robes sweeping the floor as he approached the podium. People of Earth, his translated voice boomed through the chamber. You stand at the threshold of greatness. The Valkyrian Empire offers you advancement beyond your dreams. Field Marshal Santos, seated among the delegates, caught Dr. Richardson's eye across the chamber. The scientist's slight nod confirmed their quantum scanners were recording every detail of Imperial technology on display. We have watched your progress, Zaxlack continued. Your potential is evident, though your technology is primitive. Under Imperial guidance, you will advance centuries within decades. His secondary eyes swept the chamber, noting the looks of wonder he expected to see. All we require is your complete submission to Imperial authority. UN Secretary-General Patel rose slowly, his expression carefully neutral. High Commander, humanity is honored by your offer. However, such a decision requires careful consideration. We request time to consult with all Earth's nations. Zaxlack's scales shifted in what his species considered a patronizing smile. Of course. You have 48 of your hours to recognize the inevitability of progress. He gestured to the holographic display showing his fleet. We would regret any misunderstanding of this opportunity. As the Imperial delegation departed, Professor Tanaka's quantum sensors tracked every movement, every energy signature. In hidden facilities worldwide, Aurora processed the new data, updating combat simulations and tactical responses. They're even more overconfident than we anticipated, Dr. Blackwood reported during the Emergency Council session. Their ship's quantum signatures show no sign of combat readiness. They genuinely believe we're harmless. Admiral Hayes studied the latest sensor data. Their fleet positioning is textbook Imperial doctrine for primitive world integration. No detection sweeps, minimal point defense activation. He smiled grimly. They won't even see our first counterstrike coming. The next day, Zaxlack received Earth's representatives aboard the Eternal Dawn. The chamber's design was meant to intimidate. Soaring ceilings, displays showing the Empire's mighty fleets, and the High Commander seated on an elevated platform. Secretary General Patel led the human delegation, appearing appropriately humbled. High Commander, we have questions about the integration process, particularly regarding our existing governmental structures and military forces. Your military forces? Zaxlack actually laughed, a harsh clicking sound. Your projectile weapons and crude nuclear devices? They will be decommissioned, of course. Imperial peace must be maintained. Field Marshal Santos, playing the role of a primitive military advisor, stepped forward. And if we refuse? The temperature in the chamber seemed to drop as Zaxlack's all four eyes fixed on her. Then we demonstrate why the Empire has ruled for 10,000 years. Your cities would burn, your armies would fall, and your species would learn wisdom through suffering. He gestured to a tactical display. Even now, our main battle fleet approaches. Think carefully about your choices. As the human delegation returned to Earth, emergency signals flashed through quantum channels hidden from Imperial sensors. In bases throughout the solar system, crews rushed to battle stations. Weapon systems powered up in asteroid hideouts, and hidden fleet commands received their final updates from Aurora. They're calling our bluff, Admiral Hayes informed the Defense Council. Long-range sensors detect their battle fleet entering the Oort cloud. At least 300 capital ships. Field Marshal Santos stood at the command center's main display, watching the Imperial fleets approach. They expect us to surrender at the sight of their armada. She opened a channel to all Earth forces. Prepare for Operation Revelation. Let's show them humanity's response to threats. In high orbit, Zaxlack watched with satisfaction as Earth's deadline approached. Soon, another world would join the Empire's glory. He had done this dozens of times. The primitives always chose submission over annihilation. His satisfaction vanished as proximity alarms suddenly screamed across the Eternal Dawn's bridge. Multiple quantum signatures detecting. Varric shouted. Energy readings, impossible. They're coming from inside the moon. Zaxlack rushed to the tactical display, his scales paling as hundreds of ships emerged from hidden bases across the solar system. Earth's carefully crafted mask of primitive technology was about to fall away, and the Empire's worst nightmare was about to begin. The time for deception was over. Humanity was ready to reveal its true face to the galaxy. Deception and defense. High Commander Zaxlack's mandibles clicked in agitation as he watched the impossible unfold. Where moments ago there had been empty space, now hundreds of Earth vessels emerged from quantum cloaking fields. Their designs were unlike anything in Imperial records, sleek, angular ships that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Full combat alert, he roared. Raise shields. Launch fighter squadrons. But even as he gave the orders, his tactical officer, Varric, reported more disturbing news. High Commander, we're detecting energy signatures throughout the asteroid belt and beneath Earth's oceans and on the far side of Mars. Varric's voice cracked with disbelief. They're not primitive at all. They've been hiding their true capabilities. Admiral Hayes stood calmly in Earth's lunar command as he gave the order that would change history. All fleet elements, execute Phase 1. Show them what humanity has been preparing for the past 25 years. The first demonstration of Earth's true power came not from its ships, but from its defenses. As Imperial vessels moved to attack positions, they suddenly found their quantum drives fluctuating. The carefully hidden gravitational manipulation arrays, buried in asteroids and moons throughout the system, activated simultaneously. They've weaponized gravity itself, gasped an Imperial science officer. The Empire's mighty warships, some over a kilometer long, began to drift off course as space itself seemed to twist around them. Field Marshal Santos watched from her command post as Operation Revelation unfolded. Launch the Raven swarms, she ordered. From dozens of hidden silos across Earth's surface, thousands of small, dark objects rose into space. Each one was a masterpiece of human engineering, autonomous combat drones guided by quantum-linked AI. The Imperial fleet's formation broke apart as the Ravens attacked. These weren't the crude missiles or energy weapons the Empire expected from a primitive world. Instead, the drones projected focused quantum disruption fields that bypassed Imperial shields completely. Impossible. Zaxlack slammed his fist on his command chair. Their technology, it's beyond even our theoretical models. He watched in horror as squadron after squadron of his fighters were disabled by weapons that shouldn't exist. Professor Tanaka's voice came through on the Earth Command Channel. The quantum interference is working perfectly. Their ships can't maintain stable shield harmonics against our targeted disruptions. The next phase began as Earth's main fleet engaged. Led by Admiral Hayes's flagship Defiant, the human vessels demonstrated combat tactics that left the Imperial forces reeling. Ships seemed to appear and disappear, using short-range quantum jumps in ways the Empire had never conceived. They're not following any known combat doctrine, Varric reported frantically. Each ship appears to be acting independently, but somehow maintaining perfect coordination. What he couldn't know was that each Earth vessel was linked to Aurora, the quantum AI that could process billions of tactical decisions per second. As the battle intensified, Earth revealed another surprise. From hidden bases on Mars, massive railguns activated. Each one fired projectiles enhanced with quantum field generators, simple kinetic weapons made devastating by humanity's understanding of Imperial shield technology. Status report. Zaxlack demanded as his fleet continued to falter. We've lost 30% of our combat effectiveness, Varric replied. Their weapons, they're not just advanced, they're specifically designed to counter our technology. In the Lunar Command Center, Dr. Blackwood monitored Aurora's battle management. The AI is predicting their responses with 99.7% accuracy. They're falling into every trap we've set. The Empire's rigid tactical doctrine, once a source of pride, had become their greatest weakness. Every response, every maneuver was anticipated and countered before it could be completed. Ships that tried to retreat found their quantum drives mysteriously malfunctioning. Communications between Imperial vessels became unreliable as Earth's quantum interference technology proved its worth. Field Marshal Santos opened a channel to all Earth forces. Phase 2 initiation authorized. Deploy the Nightshade protocols. Throughout the solar system, hidden quantum transmitters activated. The Empire's command and control networks were suddenly flooded with conflicting orders and false sensor data. Ships began firing on phantom targets, while actual Earth vessels struck from unexpected vectors. We can't maintain formation, Varric shouted as another barrage of quantum-enhanced kinetic rounds tore through an Imperial cruiser. Their tactics, they're unlike anything in our combat databases. High Commander Zaxlack watched his mighty fleet, veterans of 100 conquest operations, fall into disarray. These weren't the actions of a primitive species learning to reach for the stars. This was the carefully orchestrated strategy of a civilization that had spent decades preparing specifically to fight the Empire. Admiral Hayes's voice echoed across all frequencies, reaching every Imperial ship. You came expecting to find an easy conquest. Instead, you found humanity. This is your only warning. Leave our solar system or face complete defeat. We've studied your technology, your tactics, your doctrine. Everything you see today was designed specifically to counter your greatest strengths. As if to emphasize his point, another wave of Raven drones swept through the Imperial formation. Their quantum disruption fields created havoc with shield systems that had protected Imperial ships for centuries. High Commander, Varric's voice was barely a whisper. We're detecting more Earth ships emerging from Saturn's rings. Fresh forces, with energy signatures we can't even analyze. Zaxlack stared at his tactical display, watching as his fleet's carefully planned invasion turned into a desperate fight for survival. The humans hadn't just prepared for this battle, they had orchestrated every moment of it, from their apparent primitive status to their sudden reveal of overwhelming force. All Imperial vessels, he finally transmitted, his voice heavy with the weight of unprecedented defeat. Execute emergency withdrawal. Return to Rally Point Gamma. As his ships began their retreat, he added quietly, "The Empire must know what we face here." Field Marshal Santos and Admiral Hayes watched the Imperial fleet's withdrawal. "They'll be back," Santos said grimly, "with a larger force." Hayes nodded. "Yes, but now they know we're not helpless primitives. And we still haven't shown them everything we've developed." In the depths of space, the retreating Imperial fleet carried with them a message that would shake the foundations of their empire. Earth was not just ready for them. Earth had been waiting for them, and the galaxy would never be the same. The battle for Sol. 3 weeks after humanity's first victory, the quantum detection arrays near Pluto picked up massive distortions in space-time. The Empire was returning, and this time they weren't underestimating Earth. Admiral Hayes stood in the Lunar Command Center, watching as thousands of Imperial ships emerged from quantum space. The tactical display showed wave after wave of warships, dreadnoughts, carriers, and battlecruisers, stretching from Neptune's orbit to the Kuiper Belt. "They've committed a third of their total fleet strength," Field Marshal Santos observed, her face illuminated by the holographic display. "Nearly 5,000 ships." Dr. Blackwood's voice came through the quantum calm. "Aurora has analyzed their formation. They've completely abandoned their standard doctrine. They're adapting." The Imperial fleet was led by Grand Marshal Zental himself, the Empire's supreme military commander. His flagship, the Sovereign Might, was a vessel larger than any humanity had ever encountered, a 15-kilometer Leviathan of advanced technology and devastating firepower. "People of Earth," Zental's transmission reached every device on the planet. "Your defiance ends today. The Empire does not forgive resistance." In response, Field Marshal Santos activated Operation Thunderbolt. Throughout the solar system, humanity's hidden infrastructure came alive. What the Empire had seen in the first battle had been merely the surface of Earth's preparations. "Launch the Prometheus Protocol," she commanded. Deep beneath Mercury's surface, massive quantum reactors powered up. The entire planet had been transformed into a weapon platform over the past decades. Suddenly, the Imperial fleet's sensors detected an enormous energy surge. "Evasive action," Zental ordered, but it was too late. A quantum wave rippled through space, temporarily disrupting the Empire's shields. In that moment of vulnerability, Earth struck. From Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn's moons, humanity's main fleet emerged. But these weren't the same ships from the first battle. These were humanity's true capital ships, vessels that incorporated every breakthrough in quantum physics and AI integration that 25 years of preparation had achieved. Admiral Hayes took direct command from the bridge of the Earth's flagship, the Aegis. "All ships, implement Aurora Combat Protocol Alpha. Show them humanity's full strength." The battle that followed would be studied for centuries. Imperial ships found their quantum communications jammed by technologies they couldn't comprehend. Their weapons, designed to overwhelm conventional shields, proved less effective against Earth's hybrid defense systems that combined quantum fields with gravity manipulation. "They're using their artificial intelligence to predict our every move," an Imperial commander reported frantically. "Each of their ships is fighting like an entire fleet." Earth's vessels demonstrated capabilities that shocked even veteran Imperial tacticians. Ships phase-shifted through solid matter, emerged from artificial micro-wormholes, and coordinated attacks with precision that seemed impossible. But the Empire hadn't become the galaxy's dominant power through weakness. Their numbers were overwhelming, and they began to adapt to Earth's tactics. The battle spread across the solar system, turning the space between planets into a graveyard of broken ships and scattered debris. Then humanity revealed its final surprise. "Initiate the Lazarus Protocol," Field Marshal Santos ordered. From hidden bases throughout the asteroid belt, millions of microscopic machines activated. These were the pinnacle of human nanotechnology, quantum-enabled swarms that could disassemble matter at the atomic level. The nanite swarms swept through space like silver clouds, targeting Imperial ships with ruthless efficiency. Where they touched, metal began to break down, systems failed, and mighty warships became dead hulks. "What sorcery is this?" Zental demanded as reports of ships being consumed flooded in. "Not sorcery," Admiral Hayes replied on all channels. "This is human ingenuity. While you relied on brute force, we studied, innovated, and prepared. Every weapon we used was designed specifically to counter your technology. The Empire's numbers began to work against them as disabled ships collided with each other, creating chains of destruction. The nanite swarms multiplied, using the very material of destroyed vessels to create more of themselves. Professor Tanaka's quantum sensors detected panic spreading through the Imperial fleet. Their command structure is breaking down. They've never faced an enemy that could match their technology, let alone surpass it. The battle reached its climax near Saturn. The Sovereign Might, Xintal's flagship, found itself surrounded by Earth vessels that seemed to ignore the laws of physics themselves. Multiple ships would merge into one, then split apart again, making targeting impossible. Enough. Xintal's voice thundered across space. You leave us no choice. Prepare the Singularity Cannon. The Sovereign Might's main weapon began to power up, a device capable of creating an artificial black hole. It was the Empire's ultimate weapon, never before needed in combat. But humanity had prepared for even this. Execute quantum lock, Admiral Hayes ordered calmly. Suddenly, the space around the Imperial flagship crystallized. The enormous energy being channeled into the Singularity Cannon found itself caught in a quantum stasis field, a bubble of frozen space-time that contained the weapon's power. The resulting explosion was magnificent but harmless, contained within the stasis field. The Empire's ultimate weapon had been neutralized by human innovation. Grand Marshal, Hayes transmitted, look around you. Your fleet is in ruins. Your weapons are useless. And we still haven't shown you everything we can do. Surrender, or learn firsthand why challenging humanity was your greatest mistake. For the first time in its 10,000-year history, the Valkyrian Empire faced not just defeat, but humiliation. Their greatest fleet, led by their supreme commander, had been systematically torn apart by a species they had dismissed as primitive just weeks ago. The galaxy would never be the same. The myth of imperial invincibility had been shattered, and humanity had announced its presence on the galactic stage in a way that could never be forgotten. Galaxy-wide repercussions. The news spread across the galaxy like a quantum shockwave. On 1,000 worlds, beings gathered around communication terminals, watching leaked footage of the impossible battle. They saw mighty Imperial dreadnoughts reduced to drifting hulks by invisible swarms. They witnessed human ships performing maneuvers that defied known physics. Most importantly, they saw hope. In the Grand Imperial Palace on Valkyria Prime, the Council of Hierarchs convened an emergency session. The chamber, usually a place of measured deliberation, erupted in chaos as the full battle recordings played. How did we not see this? Demanded High Hierarch Zyraval, her ceremonial robes trembling with rage. An entire civilization, preparing specifically to counter our every advantage. The Imperial Intelligence Director, Valseth, stepped forward. They deceived us perfectly. Every probe we sent, every scan we made, showed exactly what they wanted us to see. While we watched their primitive rockets, they were building quantum drives. While we monitored their simple satellites, they were constructing fleet bases inside their moons. On Earth, the Global Defense Council received reports from quantum spy networks scattered throughout Imperial space. Professor Tanaka presented the findings to the assembled leaders. The Empire's control is fracturing, she announced. 3 subjugated species have already declared independence. Dozens more are mobilizing resistance movements. They all saw what humanity achieved. Field Marshal Santos studied the galactic map, watching as system after system lit up with reports of unrest. We didn't just defeat their fleet, she observed. We shattered their myth of invincibility. The effects rippled through galactic society. Trade routes shifted as formerly subjugated worlds began asserting their autonomy. The Imperial Navy, once confidently spread across thousands of light-years, began consolidating around core systems. In hidden chambers beneath the Imperial Palace, Grand Marshal Xintal faced the Supreme War Council. These humans, he reported, his voice still hoarse from battle, they don't think like us. Every victory our empire achieved came through overwhelming force and superior technology. But they turned our own strengths against us. Admiral Hayes received an unexpected transmission 3 days after the battle. The message came from representatives of the Arcturus Confederation, a group of species that had maintained secret independence from the Empire for centuries. We watched, their leader, a being of pure energy contained in a crystalline matrix, communicated. We saw how you defeated them. Our scientists have analyzed your methods. You've changed everything. Humanity's response to the galaxy's attention was measured but firm. Earth stands ready to assist any civilization seeking freedom, President Chen announced to a gathering of alien diplomats in the newly constructed Terran Diplomatic Center. But we are not conquerors. We seek cooperation, not domination. The Empire was forced to adapt. For the first time in millennia, they had to negotiate rather than demand. A diplomatic channel was established between Earth and Valkyria Prime, though the discussions were tense. You understand, High Hierarch Zyraval transmitted to the Earth Council. This changes the balance of power across 12,000 light-years of space. Chaos could spread. Perhaps, Field Marshal Santos replied, it's time for change. Your empire believed technological superiority gave you the right to rule. We prove that innovation, preparation, and determination matter more than raw power. Dr. Blackwood's quantum AI network detected a surge in scientific research across formerly imperial worlds. They're studying our techniques, he reported. Not just our technology, but our methods. Our victory showed them that creative thinking could overcome even the most established advantages. Humanity's influence spread in unexpected ways. The quantum communication protocols they developed became a new standard for interstellar commerce. Their hybrid shield designs revolutionized space travel safety. But their most significant export was hope, the belief that determination and ingenuity could overcome any obstacle. 1 year after the battle, Earth hosted the first Galactic Cooperation Summit. Representatives from hundreds of worlds, both former imperial subjects and independent civilizations, gathered to discuss the future. We stand at a crossroads, President Chen addressed the assembled delegates. The old order of domination through force is ending. Together, we can build something better. The Empire, though diminished, wasn't destroyed. They maintained control over their core systems, but their days of unlimited expansion were over. A new balance of power emerged, with Earth leading a coalition of independent worlds. Professor Tanaka's quantum sensors continued to monitor galactic communications. The change is deeper than political, she observed. Species that accepted imperial technology without question are now developing their own innovations. They're learning to think differently. In the Lunar Command Center, Field Marshal Santos and Admiral Hayes watched a holographic display showing the new galactic political landscape. Systems once marked in imperial red now shone with different colors, representing newly independent civilizations. We achieved something greater than military victory, Hayes reflected. We showed the galaxy that the future belongs to those who dare to imagine it differently. The last imperial warships had long since withdrawn from Sol System, but Earth maintained its vigilance. The defense networks remained active, the fleets ready. Humanity had learned that the galaxy was vast and full of surprises. But they had also learned something else, that preparation, innovation, and the courage to stand against overwhelming odds could reshape the very stars themselves. The story of how a seemingly primitive world had outthought the greatest empire in known space became legend, told and retold across 1,000 worlds. Earth's warning to the Empire had become something more, a message to the galaxy that the age of blind submission to power was ending. A new era had begun, sparked by human ingenuity and determination, spreading across the stars like the quantum waves that now carry dreams of freedom to the farthest reaches of space. In the end, humanity's greatest victory wasn't just defeating an empire. It was inspiring a galaxy to believe in the power of imagination, innovation, and the indomitable spirit of those who dare to stand up against overwhelming odds.